Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Comic Conspiracy post-Free Comic Book Day episode. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who am I being joined with?
Brock Sager.
Hello, Brock Sager. Have you survived Free Comic Book Day?
Oh my God.
Here at Comics Conspiracy.
Jesus.
In Sunnyvale, California.
So many kids.
115-A, East Fremont Avenue, Sunnyvale, California, 94087.
Yeah, sorry, I was waiting for you to plug the address again. Wow, there's a lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Yes. So, for those of you, well, first of all, we should say hello and welcome to another episode. Hey. Hello, everyone.
We'll try to fit all the deadly sins in this episode. 7?
Okay. It's like we're naming our episodes like after 100 Bullets trade paperbacks, or they'll work the number into the title somehow. Like episode 7, like trade 7 is Samurai. Like, was it 2 is like 2 to the chest or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Every 100 Bullets trade paperback has the number worked in that the volume is of. So kind of
creepy.
I know. But what are we going to do on today? Free Comic Book Day was today. So
yes.
First Saturday in May. It's been going on about 11 years. We've talked about this in a handful of other episodes. Basically, a bunch of the comic companies get together. Comic stores buy comics cheap, very cheap. They still cost us money, though. So if you're going to take free comics, make sure you take something you think you're going to like. And we give them out to customers all day. Generally one of our best days of the year. I mean, today was just our numbers up from last year. We were up like 40%. Our sales were through the roof. And this is, a day where people come to buy free comics or get free comics. But someone always leaves with something, and it's always one of our best days of the year.
Yeah.
And this year was absolutely no exception. Just huge, just hundreds and hundreds of people through the door all day. Me and Brock here all alone most of the day.
Well, we were so swamped. I had to manually write out receipts and calculate tax.
Yeah, it got so bad at one point where I was like, Brock, you have to just take some of these people because one of our regular customers had a ton of books, and there was like 15 people in line. And I'm like, Brock, you just do this manually, and I'll ring it through the register.
Heck, my sales alone worth $100.
yeah, on the old handheld written receipt. So yes, thank you, Brock. We should try to get a second register for situations like that.
We had one.
That thing was a piece of garbage.
Yeah, we junked it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Back in the pre-POS days.
We got shorted, though. We had a lot. We had, 14 boxes?
Yeah, at least.
We have 14 boxes, and we got rid of 11.
14 or 15 boxes, yeah. We're down to 3 boxes of books now. And this is, we went a little light on the books this year. A little light. Not a lot light. A little light. Because we still had a lot of books from previous years. We had a lot of the dollar comics that Marvel and DC and Image have offered. We give those away, as well as other just random books that we have excess copies of. And yeah, we blew through, way more books than I was expecting. So yeah, it's really, really good year. Tons and tons of people through the store. Sold a lot of books, as well as gave away a lot of free books.
Yeah.
So very cool. Yeah, Free Comic Book Day. If you missed it, hopefully you guys have a store somewhat near you. You should definitely check it out. It's a heck of a lot of fun. Always a great day.
Yeah.
For the comic stores and for the customers.
Exactly.
And this is with no sale either. A lot of stores do sales for Free Comic Book Day. We can't. I mean, the store is just not big enough for us to do a sale as well as Free Comic Day. I mean, it would have been impossible to move around in here.
Yeah.
It would have literally, you could not have moved.
Well, the problem is with having a sale is we couldn't do anything with the back issues. We have to block half of them with the free comic tables, and we have our April anniversary sale, our anniversary sale just had it 3 weeks ago. Or 3 or 4 weeks. It's either 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So it's sale back to back. No.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked to have 2 sales right back to back. Although I'm sure some customers will like it.
But the coupon did work. Not the coupon, but the ad. Bringing the ad from the Metro and the
right. So when we first started, we used to do, you could just take everything. You could take whatever you wanted. And that basically led to people walking in, taking everything, and walking out. And that was fine at the beginning. It wasn't this big deal. It was mostly our regular customers. But as the years went on, we started to see a few more people coming through. So a handful of years ago, we kind of cut it down. You could take a few copies of the books, but there still wasn't something there. And a couple of years ago, we added, so we did 5 free comics, and then 5 free with another purchase. Or 5 free with a purchase. And, we have buttons for $1 and $2 back issues. We get all this cheap stuff. But no, people are still laying down $100, $200, picking up tons of books, grabbing 5 free comics. It's And people here, I've always said, if you get people into a comic store, they will buy stuff.
Yeah.
It's really hard to leave this place without walking out with something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what our total numbers are, but I mean, I have to say, we average... I figure if you're going to a comic store, you're going there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to have at least something like a 90% sales rate for people walk in and buy something.
Yeah.
It's so rare that someone walks out without buying something, especially on a day like Free Comic Book Day. So,
well, actually, people walk in and don't buy things a lot of the time before a sale.
Well,
that's the average.
That's different, yeah.
But that's people that are seeing what we have before a sale.
Right.
And
I mean, on a Wednesday, if we have 100 people come through the door, easily 99 of those people buy something. On a weekend, if we have 15, 20 people come through the door, because, we're in a small center, it's not usually that busy. Every single one of those people is buying something. So it's like our sell-through rate is very high, I would think, compared to a lot of other industries. Yeah. Just because if you're going to a comic store, you're kind of going there for a reason. So you're not just walking by. At least where we are, we're a destination spot, not in the middle of a mall or next to a Safeway or something.
That would suck.
What?
Just mall. I've been to comic stores and malls, and they're just so depressing.
They're not depressing. You're just aimed at a very different audience than our store like us. We can have adult books. We can stock some weird stuff. Then we're not going to draw the attention. I mean, we've occasionally looked at moving the store. There's some big centers around here. And, being next to, like, a Safeway would be cool, but at the same point, you really do have to change the stock in the store. I wouldn't, I kind of debate back and forth whether you want a big staff or a small local store or a bigger store. There's pros and cons. Obviously, the biggest pro is more money.
Yeah.
More money's great. But at the end of the day, I'm here 5 days a week. I got a handful of part-timers. Brock, you're here a little bit. I get to keep it small. I like to be, self-sufficient. I don't know.
It's more of a family kind of thing.
Well, no, it's not. Oh, you mean
it's more of like a family thing, right?
Like
we all
big corporation.
We all chip in and make the store better.
Yeah. It's I definitely feel the limitations of the walls occasionally, but like today,
like
today, definitely. But enough boring retailer crap. Let's talk about some topic stuff.
I'm awake now.
Oh, wait till we start talking the sales charts on here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'll totally take on the comicsbeat.com. They always publish the sales charts for They always publish the sales charts for the past Marvel and DC. You get to see those Daredevil numbers up 1.8%. Oh, I love reading that stuff. It's so good. And they're funny little comments. They're not that funny, but sometimes they're funny. But usually they're just kind of annoying.
Would you take a drink, please?
Of my giant water?
Oh, God, he's sucking on it. If you want to see what it looks like, pick up Iron Man 503.
Oh, man, nice. Okay. Someone gave me a really giant thing of, this thing's like 1.5 feet tall. This is the biggest one.
It's like the Black Mamba bottle of Crystal Geyser. That's the stuff they use in porno.
God.
Anyway, emails. Let's do some emails.
Yeah, you got an email there, Brock.
I have an email. Yes, let's see. This is from William Tyler, and the subject is Daredevil. He says, hello, I'm pretty new to the comic book scene and am a big Daredevil fan. I've read the backstory and older comics, but now I want to start getting into more recent issues. Can you direct me to some newer DD comics or series that I should read?
Absolutely.
We can do that.
Brock, you want to throw down a suggestion or two?
Well, I got back into Daredevil a few years ago with Brubaker's run. Mm-hmm. I didn't start at the beginning of it. I came in probably at about issue 100.
Okay. On the Lady Daredevil?
Yeah.
Or the Lady Bullseye stuff I'm in?
No, before that.
Okay.
So I was like a year before that stuff.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. That was a little bit later.
That was like 112 or something.
Yeah.
No, the Brubaker's run on Daredevil was really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
So after the movie, you didn't race right out to your local comic shop and buy every Daredevil comic?
Why would I do that?
I don't know.
I don't need to go out and buy every Daredevil comic.
We know some people that really like the Daredevil movie.
Oh, I liked the Daredevil director's cut.
Yeah, you people keep playing that tune. You people keep playing that tune.
I'm the same color as you. Oh, wait. No, right. Sorry, wrong podcast.
You and our employee Toby, and we got a buddy with the store, Tony. You guys are all like, oh, the director's cut's really good. I
didn't say it's really good. It's good.
I can't even bring myself to watch the director's cut.
Why?
I didn't hate Daredevil, but it was one of those movies that I just never need to watch again.
This is true. I mean,
So.
it for me to watch the director's cut took a little bit of, I don't know, I guess willpower.
Yeah.
But I watched it. I enjoyed it. It was a better film than the original theatrical cut. Mm-hmm. And it gave you more of a story that kind of supported what happened in the film. So that, and it was cool to see Coolio. Because they cut his part completely out.
Yeah.
So,
I heard about that.
yeah. But Daredevil, I mean, everyone tells me the Kevin Smith stuff's really good.
I liked it.
The Bendis stuff is really good. Most of that stuff you can get in trade.
Yeah.
I read the Frank Miller stuff. Like, I think I got the Frank Miller Visionary trade that they had. That one was good. I liked it. But I didn't read. I think they released a couple more, but I didn't pick them up. But yeah, Daredevil's always been one of those characters that, when he has really good stories, it's a great book.
Yeah.
But when he has really bad stories, it's a really bad book.
So Daredevil's actually the book I've been following the longest in comics. Daredevil is one of the earliest books that I bought that is still being published to this day. And I've read it through, very early 90s, like 91, all the way to current.
You read the On the Edge stuff?
Yeah, I got the whole run.
Is it Over the Edge or On the Edge?
On the Edge? I think it's Over the Edge.
Over the Edge?
Yeah.
I actually saw some of those issues sorting a collection. And because there's a chunk in the, I don't know what time it was, but whenever Over the Edge was,
like the very late 90s.
The very late 90s, there's like a chunk
before
of like,
they relaunched it.
Yeah, there's like a chunk of 2 years where you can't find any books from any characters.
It's funny you mention that, right? Everything, kind of getting off subject here, but I'll go back to Daredevil. This involves Daredevil as well. Around the time Marvel relaunched all their titles in the late 90s, they had, mid-late 90s, they had their sales history, their sales charts, God, I can't talk tonight. Their sales were the lowest they had been, basically, in the history of Marvel Comics. Some of those numbers, when Marvel kind of was entering bankruptcy, I mean, the numbers are so low on some of these books. So you have a year or two of Spider-Man, Daredevil, Hulk, Avengers, just so many of these books where the print runs are so low. Everything, a lot of it's around the Age of Apocalypse, the stuff leading up through Heroes Return, or Heroes Reborn, which is where all the Image guys came in and redid all the Marvel books, or the Avengers Marvel books. Those issues aren't worth a ton, but man, I'm telling you, they're hard to find.
Yeah.
It's the Spidey issues before they relaunched Amazing Spidey. Yeah, really hard to find all those issues. And Daredevil's no exception. Not great stuff, just...
The X-Men are like that, too. Like, there's the Uncanny X-Men, some of that stuff.
Oh, all the stuff with Joe Mad, real hard to find.
Yeah.
Just not worth a lot, but real hard to find. But getting back to Daredevil, when they redid his costume, they did the it was a Falls from Grace storyline, which is early 90s. That was pretty decent. Daredevil's always gone back and forth between superhero and dark. When Frank Miller took over, obviously it went very, very dark. The problem is, it's hard to get played up as the superhero when you're followed by these really dark stories and then go back to the superhero side. Basically, since the Kevin Smith relaunch, I mean, it stayed pretty dark through Bendis, through Brubaker, into the, what's his name, the Andy Diggle stuff. And I liked it all, but it just got bad during Shadowland, which was
Shadowland? Well, Shadowland was crap.
Shadowland, which was the series that ended the current Daredevil arc, where he replaces Kingpin. Isn't this sort of the?
I think what it is he becomes the leader of the Hand,
which is like one of his big villains.
Yeah. And then there's fighting within the Hand to overthrow him.
Right.
And then he comes to New York and kind of tries to make this Hell's Kitchen a separate entity from the rest of everything else. It didn't really. And the sad thing is like the Kingpin stuff leading up to that was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think Daredevil. I'd say there's 4 places that you really want to read. So it's the longest answer to this question of all time. 1, I'm always going to suggest pick up the old Essentials or Marvel Masterworks because you got to see where these characters start. If you don't mind shelling out the money for the color ones or the black and white ones, they're cheap, they're cheesy, they're fun. Just read them. You know, Daredevil's just a bad Spider-Man impersonator. I mean, just whatever. It's fine. Read it. Obviously, the Frank Miller, 3 volumes. The Frank Miller, not the omnibus, the Frank Miller Essentials or something. I don't remember what the name is.
Hold on.
Yeah, those are really good. That covers all the Frank Miller years. I don't know if that covers Elektra Assassin or not. I don't think it does. No. Yes, the Frank Miller and Klaus Janson arcs. So those are worth getting. I still like the Kevin Smith stuff. I know some people didn't. Some people don't like Kevin Smith's modern work. But this was his first real comic stuff. I like the Kevin Smith arc. I think it's worth getting. I think it's fun stuff.
Quesada did the art, and it was one of the last times his art was good.
Right, good art. The story is fun enough. I had no problem with it. And then Bendis really is the number 2 next to the Frank Miller run of books to read. Bendis's run was long, which is a rarity in these days of comics. Outside of Bendis, he does Avengers, Daredevil, Ultimate Spider-Man. He says some of the longest runs in modern comic history. It's great to see a creative team on that book for so long. It brought back a lot of classic characters. Bendis' stuff did some really good work. There's a handful of collected trade paperbacks. So
there's a lot of ways to get it in trade. There's hardcovers, soft covers, small soft covers, ultimate collections.
They've picked them up into about, I think, 5 ultimate collections, 5 or 6 ultimate collections, and it's worth tracking those down. Bendis' stuff, and then Brubaker stuff. That's kind of where you want to focus on.
I think you just mentioned 5.
Oh, well. The Brubaker
Essentials,
stuff.
Miller, Smith, Bendis, and Brubaker.
Okay. Well, Brubaker stuff's good, but not the best.
I think it's a good place for a lot of people to get in to who aren't necessarily know the complete history.
But it starts you off in jail, and it starts right at the end of Bendis' run. I don't think you could read that without really reading Bendis.
I jumped in at Brubaker's and I read through, and I was fine.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you want to start totally fresh, and I think it's going to be a little more superhero-y than dark, although I can't say that for sure, Mark Waid is relaunching the book. We talked about this in our very first episode or something.
No, we didn't.
Oh, is this? If I keep referencing back to our lost episode that we didn't actually.
I don't even know if we talked about it in that.
We did. Mark Waid is relaunching Daredevil.
Okay.
Greg Rucka is relaunching Punisher, and Bendis and Malieve just relaunched Moon Knight that came out this week. So there's your
Marvel Knights 4. I mean 3 or whatever 7. The Marvel Knights is.
Yeah, they like to relaunch those books every 2 years. So Moon Knight, I'm sure this will last 18 issues, like every other series has. So
the last one didn't even last 18 issues, did it?
I probably read around there.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, some Daredevil recommendations. Basically, if it's a Daredevil book and it's a trade paperback, it's worth buying because they really haven't collected anything other than modern and Frank Miller.
Also, Joseph Lobentemsale's Yellow is good.
Oh, yeah. That was Yellow the first? I think Yellow was the first one that they did, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Or was I can't remember. That was good. That was like an old school
origin story.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of the Man Without Fear, Frank Miller's Man Without Fear, and that goes along with his run, although it wasn't until much later. But that and Elektra Assassin, both Frank Miller offshoot miniseries, those are all worth picking up as well. Before Frank Miller went totally insane, he was still a little sane at this point. Yeah, those are all worth checking out. You know, it's funny. Some of the stuff we mentioned in this actually leads in perfectly to our next email that we want to answer here from Jose Lopez, who says, "Hello, comic conspirators. I'm a big fan of the Geek Box and of comics, so when I heard there was a comic-only podcast, he was excited. Now that he's been listening for 6 episodes, I could say the podcast is quickly becoming one of my favorites." Sweet.
Awesome.
The only thing I'm confused about is the terms used for comic compilations like trades, omnibuses, hardcovers. I'm only familiar with single issues. I would appreciate some clarification so I can further enjoy the podcast.
Oh, okay. Okay. You ready? I'll do this.
No.
No. Because you can't talk.
Why?
You can't talk.
I'm bumbling all over my
You
words
bumble
tonight.
all over your words. Okay, so an omnibus.
I'll correct you when you're wrong.
Exactly. An omnibus is a murder weapon. No. I mean, it's Omnibus is a collection, a hardcover collection of a lot.
Start at the small end.
Okay, we'll start at the small end.
Okay.
There are these things called
So let's start with digest.
picture books. Oh, digest. Sorry.
Let's start with digest.
Okay.
Okay. A digest is a smaller than a comic book collection of comics. So it's a small size. You kind of think of like those Archie digests that you see at the mall. They're not always that small, but they're kind of referenced as a digest size, manga size. Smaller trade paperbacks, smaller collections.
Aimed more towards kids.
At a more casual audience.
More kids audience.
Right. Then you have trade paperback. Brock.
Trade paperback and graphic novel are the same thing.
I will argue that they are the same thing. I know a lot of people want to argue that a graphic novel is an original collection and a trade paperback is a reprint of previously published work in a single issue format.
Yeah.
So I get it. So if you collect Moon Knight 1 through 6 and you put out a trade paperback that collects 1 through 6 into one book, that is a trade paperback. If you release an original graphic novel that is a full story in a collected-looking format, be a hardcover, softcover, with a spine, no staples, needs that spine, that is a graphic novel. My problem with this comes, the phrase is original graphic novel, not graphic novel. In my mind, the difference between a trade paperback and a graphic novel, there isn't one. Now, if you take, let's take something like, I
can fix this example for you.
Okay.
So, a graphic novel and a trade paperback is the same thing.
All right.
The reason being, Watchmen was originally released in single issue format, and yet everybody says one of the top, even Time Magazine says one of the top 100 books to read, the graphic novel Watchmen.
Correct.
They don't say trade paperback Watchmen.
Right.
Trade paperback is more of a realtor's term, or like a retailer's term, right? Because we're talking about trade paperbacks. Right. Graphic novel is more kind of the consumer's version of it, but that's like the same thing.
You know what? I never thought about it that way, being like the retailer and the industry word versus like the consumer word, but I actually totally agree with that.
So,
now I wouldn't call, let's say, Brian Azzarello's Joker, which was an original graphic novel. I wouldn't call that an original trade paperback.
No.
I would call that a graphic novel. The problem is, what do you call the softcover version of that?
Exactly.
Trade
paperback.
Because it's a reprint of a graphic, of a hardcover graphic novel. So it's like, these words are totally interchangeable. Don't let anyone fool you. Being, I don't read comic books. I read graphic novels. No. They're all fucking comic books.
Yeah.
So don't. Trade paperback, graphic novel, it's all the same.
Yeah, most trade paperbacks are the same size, or soft cover graphic novels.
I mean, there is a standard size that's around the comic book size. Then you get to these deluxe versions, which Marvel and DC put out a lot of, which are slightly taller, slightly wider. They run, maybe...
Were you talking hardcover or softcover?
Hardcover.
Yeah, no, I'm talking soft.
Right. The soft covers tend to remain around the same size. Even most hardcovers are around the same size as the soft covers. Yeah. But then you get these deluxe, which are slightly bigger, about an inch taller, inch wider. Marvel and DC have done a lot of these. Generally hardcover only. I can't say I've ever seen a soft cover in this size.
No. Soft covers normally stay the same size. Hardcovers, you have mainly two sizes, which is the deluxe, which is the bigger, and the premiere.
Marvel calls it premiere,
which is the regular.
Right.
And then they have their, what's the big ones called for Marvel?
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah,
they're just,
but they have the small. They have a small hardcover and a big hardcover, basically.
At the end of the day, and I hate to say this, they're going to scrape you for every dollar you can in every format. You're going to get the small size. You're going to get the regular trade paperback. You're going to get the multi-trade paperbacks where it's in a couple trades at once. You're going to get the hardcover. You're going to get the softcover. You're going to get the collected softcover. You're going to get the collected hardcover. You're going to get the omnibus, which collects a whole bunch of books into one giant-ass book. You're going to get the essentials, which are the black and white versions. You're going to get the masterworks, which are the hardcover versions of old books. You're going to get the showcases, which are the softcovers. And then you're going to get the absolutely best copy of anything ever, which is DC's Absolute line, which are like $100 oversized slipcase, beautiful, beautiful comics. You think the Absolute, or you think the omnibuses can murder you? These essentials the
Absolute and omnibus, as I call the podium books.
Right,
you literally need a podium to read these damn things.
Right. So you know what? At the end of the day, it's a size thing. It's not a. It's
a size thing. Can we shove any more Freudism, phallic shit in here?
The names of all these things all mean collected comic books.
Yeah.
They're all just different terms for the same thing. Yeah. So, just you don't need to really. It doesn't matter what you call them.
I guess my advice for this is, if you're going to read collected comic books,
yes,
then find a format you like and try and stick with it.
Yeah.
A good format, I think, to stick for just reading is the soft covers, the trade paperbacks.
Everything will get released in soft cover.
Mm-hmm.
Most things get released in hard covers. Some good stuff gets released in the deluxe editions. Only the best of the best get the omnibus and absolutes.
Yes.
So that's kind of your bar. They switch formats all the time. It's very frustrating. Just find the soft covers are the cheapest. The absolutes and the omnibuses are the most expensive, but they're the best. Just find a format you like and stick with it. Like Brock said, that's all you have to do. I wouldn't sweat it any other way. Just it's so crazy. Like, I know these phrases, I know what all these words mean, but actually saying them all out loud, like, you sound retarded.
Yeah,
like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it makes more sense for what. Saying graphic novels.
Graphic novel. That covers everything.
The only thing you're going to change is soft, hard.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I mean, an absolute, I wouldn't call a graphic novel. I'd say the absolute edition.
Sure.
Like an omnibus, I'd say the murder weapon. I mean, omnibus. Why am I obsessed with calling an omnibus a murder weapon? Oh, that's right. Thor omnibus. That thing's like the size of the hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, and don't worry, there will be Thor talk.
Oh,
Foreshadow.
We've been actually rambling for way too long. We haven't even hit the main point of our episode. We've seriously been going on for like a half an hour, Brock.
I know.
Yeah, we need to actually talk about what we're here for. We're going to talk about some Thor tonight. We're going to talk about the comic a little bit, and we're going to talk about the movie a lot. There are 2 points of the movie that I would consider major spoilers, and we will not talk about that to the very end. So if you want to skip, we will let you know. If you don't want to know anything about the Thor movie, I'd probably shut it off in about 5 minutes.
Don't shut us from 5 minutes. Skip ahead and we'll have a random comic pick at the end.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting about that.
I know. It's one of the best things I ever came up with, and you keep forgetting it.
I mean, over the last couple months, I've had this Green Lantern vs. Sinestro T-shirt that I've liked to wear. And I keep saying, "Oh, it's the spoiler T-shirt for the Green Lantern movie," because Sinestro is the good guy in the Green Lantern movie. And oh, what a shock! A guy named Sinestro becomes the bad guy. So spoilers. So I mean, spoilers for Thor. I mean, there are none, right? Thor fights Loki. Thor wins. I mean, come on. I mean, this is not a spoiler.
Yeah,
So there are 2 very specific things that I was totally unaware of going in, and I try to remain spoiler free. So those 2 topics we will talk about at the end. So one is the after credits, and one is a character that makes an appearance during the movie.
Cameo.
We won't spoil those until the very end. So watch for those. But Thor, we promised. I mean, this has basically been an all Marvel episode already.
I know. Let's
finish up with
okay.
The mighty Thor.
Let's start with the Thor comics.
Brock, when's the first time you read a Thor comic? You ever read a Thor comic? Really?
I picked up Thor when it was relaunched back in the 2000s with Straczynski and Romita.
Early 2000s, or are you talking like the most recent series here?
No, the early 2000s, the one that when everything was relaunched after Heroes Were Born.
Dan Jurgens and John Romita Jr.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right, Dan Jurgens.
Dan Jurgens. Okay, sorry.
You know what? For my money, one of the best runs on Thor.
I really, I enjoyed Thor when I was younger and reading that. I don't really remember him too well. My brother was reading him at the time, and he's not even into comics.
Sure.
So, Thor, to me, I posted on my blog that he's a hot and cold character. He's either...
Well, much like Iron Man, he's very B-list.
Yeah.
He always has been.
But, and for me, his character, when he's good, I enjoy reading him. But when he's bad, it's like, I'll throw it away. You know.
Okay.
Getting back into comics, I read the Straczynski run, the recent Straczynski run on Thor, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, we talked about that briefly last week, and very, very good run. It sets up a lot of the stuff that, again, they used in the movie. They actually even credited J. Michael Straczynski as
with story credit.
Story credit.
Yeah.
So that was I was unaware of that. They really changed up the books. They really changed up the mythology in Thor the last couple of years after his run, and with the modern stuff and with Fear itself. Some for the better, some for the worse. But overall, it's been a good book, except for those handful of issues recently that I didn't really care for.
Yeah, I stopped reading once Straczynski was off.
Yeah,
I couldn't really get into it.
I mean, we both read the relaunch, the Mighty Thor #1 that came out last week. It was one of these books that there was no need for a relaunch. I thought the Journey into Mystery first issue. So kind of getting ahead of ourselves here. They ended the current Thor book and relaunched it a week ago because the movie's coming out and all that. They took the original Thor book and continued it on his Journey into Mystery, which is the name of the original title Thor appeared in. And they, at least for the first issue, it's sort of like a Loki book.
Yeah.
So it's on Asgard. It's Loki. Kind of, he's a kid now. He's been reborn. That was actually the best Thor book I've read in maybe a year or longer. It was actually pretty good.
The Journey into Mystery one?
Yeah, the Journey into Mystery.
So you made me read... No, hold on. You made me read The Mighty Thor, #1, and Fear Itself, #2.
Yeah, and
you didn't tell me to read Journey into Mystery?
I totally forgot. I thought the Mighty Thor #1 relaunch and Fear Itself #2 were both to me, just real big letdowns. I didn't hate the first issue of Fear Itself, but I thought the second issue was a complete waste.
The second issue was, let's put Tron lines on everybody.
Spoilers for Fear Itself #2 for what it is. It's 22 pages of 5 people being turned into the 4 horsemen of apocalypse.
Well, it's not, how can 5 people turn into 4 horsemen of apocalypse?
You know what I mean.
But let me pick up this hammer, and I look like a Tron character now.
Yeah, it was Juggernauts. Ooh, I'm going to pick this up. Oh, I'm now speaking in Norse or something. And this next character. And it was 22 pages of this, and there was nothing. Nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happens in the book, and
I'm you can't go 2 issues of a major crossover with nothing.
Yeah.
It's really you're okay, the shit hits the fan at #3, I get it, but then why even publish one?
Okay, here we go. I got it. Fear Itself #1, shit falls from the sky. Fear Itself #2, people pick up shit that fell from the sky.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll see.
I mean, you know what's the thing is, I hate bashing comics. I hate bashing things, but it's when it's so bad. You know when somebody asks for it? And you give it to them. That's what that's what we do here. But I don't like it.
I hate to bring Twitter up in real life, but I says run a podcast. That's all right. I had a bit of a small Twitter meltdown the other day because Marvel announced that they're relaunching Ultimate Spider-Man again for
excuse me,
for the 8th time in the last 5 years.
Dang.
It is. They did Ultimatum, it failed. They relaunched, it failed. They renumbered it, it failed. They're killing Peter Parker and redoing it, it's failed. So it's oh god, okay, whatever. And I was just you know what? It's at the point now where I've gone from liking to hating to being completely indifferent.
Yeah.
You've killed any feeling with me when it comes to these books.
And I enjoyed Ultimate Spider-Man. I enjoyed Ultimate X-Men up until Ultimatum.
Yeah.
And then after Ultimatum, I tried to stay interested in Spider-Man, and
we've talked Ultimate books once or twice here, but they basically relaunched, for those that haven't read them, they relaunched a new universe of Marvel Comics where it was Spider-Man became Spider-Man in the year 2000.
Yeah.
And then went on from there. And they did this story a handful of years ago with Jeff Loeb and Joe Maggiata called Ultimatum, where they big changes in the Ultimate Universe, and it was just this torture porn book of murder.
It wasn't Madrua that did that.
Ultimatum? Oh no, that's Ultimate 3. I'm
Finch.
sorry, it was
That's
Finch. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
You're talking about Ultimate 3.
Ultimate 3 is
which is
we won't talk about.
Yeah,
that.
we won't talk about it.
But Ultimatum, it was just this torture porn book where they just killed a ton of people, and it was all right, now the world is different. And then all the books came back, and they were I mean, just kind of the same. It was the same creators.
The same creators.
Nothing. There was like no real change to the series. So they relaunched the books again, and now they're relaunching the books again. And I'm like, they're relaunching Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man. There's a new FF coming out. I'm like,
I can understand a relaunch of Ultimate X-Men because
X-Men and FF have been gone for a long time.
Well, Ultimate X. I can understand them relaunching Ultimate X-Men. Loeb hasn't been able to finish a story.
No. But sorry, way off Thor. Way off Thor topic here.
So, Thor stuff to read would be the Walter Simon stuff, which is the murder omnibus that I keep talking about.
All right. Well, let's take Thor back for a second here. Okay, let's go back to the very beginning. Thor was created 1960s. Mm-hmm. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Well, there are many very famous creations. Mm-hmm. I actually need to reference back to the last episode. I totally miscredited Shade the Changing Man. It was not Jack Kirby. It's Steve Ditko that created Shade the Changing Man. I credited Jack Kirby. Steve Ditko. So my mistake on that. So Thor appeared in the book called Journey in the Mystery. He was Thor, Asgard, Norse god of thunder. He was put into the body of a human named what's his face?
Donald Blake.
Donald Blake. Thank you. My brain just shut down. He was put into the body of this human named Donald Blake, who was like a lame physician. He was
lame as in like crippled, not lame
right.
As in
correct.
I'm a lame physician.
Correct. So he was put into his body to learn humility, to become better, and if he hit his cane on the floor, he would become Thor. In order to save humanity. So, this book went on for years and years and years, and he was a stalwart in the Avengers. And Loki, who was one of Thor's main villains in Journey in the Mystery comics, actually was the reason the Avengers were created in the first place back in like the mid-'60s. Mm-hmm. Loki came and caused the Avengers to get together, caused them to find Captain America, and so basically Loki's involved in the creation of the greatest superhero team in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So, good job, Loki. I have a feeling this will impact the Marvel movies for some reason.
No.
So Thor's, like we said, he's been one of those very solid Marvel B-list guys. It's gone back and forth. He was never the biggest seller. One of the better remembered runs is the Walt Simonson books, which is collected in a couple of soft covers, and also
they're the Visionaries.
The Visionaries, also a giant ass hardcover that just came out, introducing great concepts like Beta Ray Bill, who was an alien that was able to wield Thor's hammer. Created the Thor Frog saga, which Loki turns Thor into a frog, which is it's classically remembered, very fun couple issue run. He really brought in a lot of a little less superheroics and a lot more of the
fables, the stories,
and the Tolkien style gods and mythology, and a lot more of the fantasy elements. Which prior to that, it had really been a superhero book.
What's the word? It's
don't get me wrong. Lee and Kirby and the people after them, did do a lot of mythology in the books, but it still felt, we're talking Daredevil earlier, it felt like a Marvel book. And I think a lot of people will credit Walt Simonson as really taking Thor in a bit of a new direction.
Yeah.
So, he had some decent runs. He got caught up in the Marvel Reborn stuff in the 90s.
Yeah.
They redid the Thor. Thor didn't have his own title, but they redid it under. He appeared in a lot of the Avengers books. But was it Jim Lee that did the Avengers one, or was that Liefeld? I think it was Lee. Lee did
FF.
FF and Cap. No,
Liefeld did Cap.
Did Cap in Avengers. Lee did FF and whatever. So he was in there, and then he came
Iron
back.
Man. Porcello did Iron Man.
Okay. So then he came back, and we were talking earlier, the Hero's Return, which was Dan Jurgens and John Romita Jr., which I thought was going back to what you were saying earlier, Brock, I thought it was a very good run. John Romita Jr. is one of those artists that I think works for really big characters. I have a hard time when he's drawing Spider-Man or Daredevil, but when he's drawing the Hulk or the Thing or Thor, I think John Romita Jr. is a fantastic artist. He draws really bulky guys, and I think it works well. They ended up having Ragnarok, actually, at the end of his series, where all the gods...
That's how you say that?
Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Ragnarok? Yeah.
That's how you say it?
Ragnarok?
I thought it was Roanoke.
No, that's something else. Ragnarok.
Ragnarok?
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok?
Yes. Ragnarok?
Ragnarok, okay.
Do you disbelieve this?
No.
Rag.
I know how it's spelled. I don't think it's I'm not sure if it sounds like it's spelled.
Ragnarok. I've never heard it pronounced any other. Ragnarok. Let's see do they have a pronunciation here on Wikipedia. I've never pronounced Ragnarok. Yes, here, hold on. That's not going to pronounce it for me. Yeah, no, it's pronounced Ragnarok.
Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Roanoke.
No, you're incorrect.
Okay.
Maybe the internet's can correct us later, but I'm pretty sure it's Ragnarok.
Okay.
Anyway, I never, much like Tween, I always assumed it was pronounced Ragnarok, but Brock, you have once proven me wrong, so let's see if you can go for 2 episodes in a row.
I'll see.
So they actually did kill off all the gods during the Thor disassembled arc in the mid-2000s. Right before the Avengers disassembled, which was when the big Avengers shakeup. They brought him back during J. Michael Straczynski's run, and then here we are for the movie. So, Thor, if you want to check out some Thor books, I mean, my money, there's really only 2 places. No, I guess there's 3. The 3 we mentioned. I would check out the Walt Simonson run, which there's a couple of Visionaries. There's a big $125 hardcover if you want to check that out.
Yeah.
There's a handful of collections of the Dan Jurgens and John Romita Jr. stuff, and then the 3 volumes of J. Michael Straczynski's run, which is pretty decent. Check out Fear Itself, check out the current arcs. I definitely check out that first issue of Journey to Mystery. I did like that a lot. That was a pretty cool issue. So, you got a bunch of, and Avengers. You have hundreds of issues of Avengers. He's in a ton of books, so a lot of good stuff to check out. But the movie.
Oh, man's.
Brock. Me and Brock went to go see the movie last night with a pretty full audience, pretty packed crowd.
It was sold out.
Yeah.
It was sold out.
So what are your... What do you rate this on the Marvel movie scale?
Well, what do we... that's one thing we don't have our own scale.
Well, I figure the Marvel movie scale, I mean, there's really only been 4, right? Iron Man 2, Hulk, The Incredible Hulk, the second one, and Thor. So if you were to rank those 4... I mean, you're going to give Iron Man an A, all right?
Yeah, Iron Man. The first one, A.
Where do you put Iron Man 2?
Down at the bottom.
But give me a grade.
I would honestly put Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2 on the same level.
Okay.
And I would put Thor in between Iron Man and...
Like B and C, something like that?
Yeah, it's like Iron Man with Thor like right on his boots.
Okay.
His propulsion boots.
Okay.
And then Iron Man 2 and Incredible Hulk somewhere or on the ground sucking each other off or something.
You really didn't like this too?
Iron Man 2...
I don't get this all of a sudden Iron Man 2 hate. I really didn't hear people hating Iron Man 2 until recently.
The thing is I think what it was is I think after watching Iron Man... Like, Iron Man 2 was one of those movies that everyone watched in the theater and then nobody bought on Blu-ray or DVD.
I did.
I didn't because I was like, I ain't paying more than $10 for this piece of crap.
I don't even have the first one on Blu-ray yet because it's still $30. Iron Man 1? I still don't have it on Blu-ray yet.
Yeah.
It's still really expensive.
The second film just didn't do anything. Like, it was just for CG show. It wasn't for any significant story. It wasn't to give us another good show of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Iron Man.
I really liked the second one. Like,
Mickey Rourke was awesome in that movie.
Yeah, he was.
And so was the guy that played Hammer.
Yeah.
But Robert Downey Jr.'s character in that film, to me, everyone's like, oh, it was power, it was this, it was this. I'm like, okay, you just repeated the same story. Something's in my chest and I could die. Something's in my chest, I'm going to die.
It was the classic demon in a bottle story.
It was not demon in a bottle story. There was no bottle.
Except with alcohol, it was power.
But there was no bottle.
Hmm? The power was the suit.
No, the suit of power, a demon in a suit? Sure. Stupid.
So, for my money, Iron Man's the best. If Iron Man's an A, Thor's an A minus.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2 and Hulk are like B and B minus somewhere.
Yeah, they're more like D.
Yeah, shut up. So I thought I thought Thor was, really good. I thought I was up there.
I walked out of the theater. I walked out of the theater like I actually enjoyed I had a good time.
Yeah.
I was entertained. Yeah. It was something to talk about.
Yeah. So let's talk some plot here for a few minutes. So you have Thor about to be crowned King of Asgard.
Yes.
When Asgard's attacked.
A cocky Thor.
Of course. So much like in the comics, he's thrown down to Earth and must live among the humans for a day or two until he becomes... That was my girlfriend's complaint. She had a couple complaints of the movies, and one of them was like, wow, he sure turned around really fast. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, they could have like a montage of him being Donald Blake for 30 years and then how all of a sudden him learning humility and all that. But you got to get to the point. I get it. I'm fine with the way the movies do stuff. Thor's down on Earth, hanging out for a while, tries to get his hammer back from S.H.I.E.L.D., can't do it, learns humility, beats back the Destroyer, fights Loki, beats Loki, knocks Asgard back and destroys the Rainbow Bridge that's no longer attached to Earth or any of the other 9 realms. And there you go. So, yeah, I think if you were expecting big major plot-changing revelation of a movie, no, this is an origin movie. You know how the story's going to go. But that the effects were good, the acting was good. Now, we actually didn't see it. First of all, fuck 3D. Don't go see this in 3D.
Don't.
I've heard nothing but terrible things.
No.
And second... we saw it on a regular projector, not a digital projector. Yeah. And I think that may have affected the effects because they looked a little muddied. They looked a little washed out because you could tell there were parts in the film where I was just like, man, this isn't very clear. So unless the movie is like that, I wish... what is Brock doing? I really wish to see it in a... fuck was that?
Huh?
What the hell was that?
Ragnarok.
See, I told you. What's that, your internet phone?
That's my internet phone.
Ragnarok.
I think it's because in Final Fantasy they pronounce it Roanoke.
I think Roanoke is something totally different.
Probably, I don't know.
Anyway.
Don't look at me.
Anyway.
I was proven wrong in this episode.
There you go. It's 1-1, baby. So.
Actually, it's still 1-0. You're sucking down on that ginormous water. Can't win.
The hell are you saying? Yeah, I want to see this movie again on a digital projector because I want to see if the effects are
on a digital platform
or a Blu-ray. This would be a day one
LCD, yeah,
this would be a day one Blu-ray purchase. I really want to see if those effects look a little bit better. I'll probably end up seeing this again in the theater. I got a few friends that haven't gone yet. I'll try to track down a digital screen and see what it looks like. But yeah, I was really worried about the costumes at first. I was hoping they would go for a Weta Lord of the Rings, real bones and dragon armor and fur.
What the hell do you want this to be? Dragon Age?
I want it to be Lord of the Rings.
It's not Lord of the Rings, it's Thor.
I know. Or I think I mentioned this before. You go the other way and you go total sci-fi, total Jack Kirby craziness. They kind of stayed in the middle, and I was. At first I was like, when Thor's walking down, they get coronated and all that. I was kind of like, this looks a little goofy. But when it sold me was when him, his wannabe girlfriend Sif, and the Warriors 3, when they went off together.
No. It's not his wannabe girlfriend.
Well, in the comics,
in the comics it is, but his friends, his warrior friends, Sif and.
The Warriors 3.
The Warriors 3, because we can't pronounce their names.
Volstagg.
Oh, God,
you're going to kill me off the top of my head right now. Volstagg.
Hemorrhage.
Hemorrhage? What the hell?
Okay, you're talking about the scene where they're Volstagg, Sif, and the other two...
Yeah, Volstagg, Hogan, and Fandral. That's his name. I couldn't remember.
Fandral, Hogan,
yes,
Volstagg, and Sif are walking through. What the hell was the name of that town?
The
something New Mexico.
Oh. Then yeah. That was actually really funny.
What was the name?
I don't care. Who knows?
So they're walking through the
New Mexico,
the small town, main street of the small town in costume.
Yeah,
and the SHIELD agents watching Thor and Natalie Portman's character. What's her name?
Jane Foster.
Say, is there a Renaissance fair scheduled?
That was good.
And then what was it? Robin Hood or Xena, Jackie Chan, Robin Hood are walking down the street. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, totally okay, Ren Fair.
But no, I know what you're saying. The costumes, when you saw them in our world versus the Asgardian world, you saw how well what?
Well, for me, no. What I was going to say was that looked good, but when they were attacking the Frost Giants, and that whole sequence, like that really sold it to me. Their look and the whole look of the Asgardian armor, and when they were on the Rainbow Bridge, which I thought they did the Rainbow Bridge great.
Yeah,
as well.
It was.
I was
cool.
really worried how they were going to do that, thinking it'd be this maybe a little Care Bearish, but like no, this cool like kind of computery looking floor with the color light up when people stepped on it. I think they did a really, really good job with it. I didn't feel it was hokey or cheesy.
No, it was done really, really well.
I think, I mean, if there's any complaint we're going to have about these movies is, you introduce the love story, but I mean, they got to get to the point fast. I'm not worried about it.
Well, I liked how they brought Donald Blake in. They brought in him as when she's giving him clothes. After she's hit him with her car twice.
All right. Meow, meow.
Meow, meow.
That's the best. Okay, we have to go back. Meow, meow was the best line in any movie ever been spoken. So
I wouldn't say that. It's one of the best recent lines.
Meow, meow is the best line I've heard in a while. And that made me laugh, and I still laugh every time I hear that. I've said it so many times the last day. Jane Foster, Natalie Portman's friend, cannot pronounce Mjolnir. And says meow, meow.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I laughed so hard when I heard that. And I just still laugh. It's so funny.
That's the thing. They broke it up with some humor in the film, which I really enjoyed.
There were some really funny parts of that movie. Like,
but I downloaded like 30 songs.
When she kept hitting him with the car. Like, you know what? And I thought as over the top or cheesy. No, not for a second. I thought it was really funny.
No, because the thing is, it gave you that little break.
Yeah, exactly.
You needed during a film. But back to what the hell I was talking about.
Warriors 3, walking down the town.
No.
The Destroyer.
No.
What are you talking about?
What the hell was I talking about?
Weta, Lord of the Rings. That's what we were talking about.
Costumes? I don't know.
Yeah.
You lost me.
It was good. Thor, good.
Thor.
Destroyer, pretty cool villain.
Pretty cool.
Went out pretty fast, but still cool.
I think Destroyer was done really, really well. I did kind of have a problem with kind of his. You think he's the Destroyer, and yet I expected more destruction.
He blew the hell out of that town. He killed
not
all those.
Really.
He blew up quite a bit of that.
He blew up some stuff, but you think the Destroyer and
he was going after Thor and the Warriors. I mean, he wasn't going after the town. So,
but Loki said destroy everything.
Well. One thing about that scene, though, and from that point on to the end of the movie that I was really happy with, was they didn't cheap out on the flying.
Yeah,
I was really worried. There was a couple sequences where I think they really hit the comic book look. One early on when they're fighting the Frost Giants,
and he's spinning his hammer,
whipping that hammer around. Like that was cool. Like that I was like, wow, this is just like the comic because he does that all the time. When he creates the whirlwind. And whips up the Destroyer, just like in the comic, and then him flying with the hammer.
His lightning strike.
Because Thor does not fly. I mean, it's the hammer that makes him fly. So it's the hammer that projects him. So, I really liked how they did that. I did a really good job with the hammer, and the flying, the lightning strikes. I mean, they really stayed as accurate and as close to the comic as you can without, being ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, they really hit the points that I wanted to hit on that, and they did it well.
I think they gave us the Thor from the Ultimates Thor. Not necessarily story wise, but look wise, they gave us that Ultimates Thor.
Sure.
Where
I hate the story of Ultimates Thor.
The Ultimates the story's garbage.
I didn't like that at all.
But his character in Ultimates looks.
Yeah, it's a good.
It looks good, and I think that's what they were going for a little bit, and they did a good job doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, Stan Lee's cameo, awesome,
funny,
awesome.
Not the best, but funny.
Oh, come on!
I think the best is still in the X-Men movie was the hot dog salesman on the beach. That was funny. When the senator's coming up off the beat out of the water.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a funny one. There's a couple funny parts.
No, this one's good.
Yeah, that's good.
This one's good.
Yeah. Overall, Thor. I mean, 2 thumbs up for me.
2 thumbs up for me. Yeah.
Who's got 2 thumbs and like Thor? This guy. I'm pointing at myself.
With your thumbs.
And I'm also pointing at Brock.
I feel like breaking your thumbs right now. No, good film. Go check out Thor in the movies. Don't see the 3D version. If you can find it digital, watch digital. If not, it's still good to watch.
Yeah. Now, do we want to talk the cameo and the spoiler now?
Yes, let's talk this cameo. So, spoiler alert.
Okay, yeah.
Fast forward to
5 minutes.
We'll try to give you a timestamp for the. We'll give you a timestamp for the random comic pick and the time you need to restart this podcast.
So, the cameo in the movie that I had no idea.
So, let me talk since you didn't have any idea.
Okay, go ahead.
So, the cameo in the film, I actually found out about by reading the Mercury newspaper, San Jose, or our local newspaper.
Okay.
Also found out that I needed to stay till the end, which I automatically assumed, but, you know, it's always a good thing to, know.
Sure.
So, I knew going into this film what this cameo was. And I think the best part of the movie was I'm sitting 3 people down from you, and this character comes on the scene, and you're like, I heard you geek.
I must have been. Well, see, okay. So
I heard you geek out.
Well, first of all, the character is Hawkeye.
Yes, it's Hawkeye.
So I love Hawkeye. All right, Hawkeye. I wouldn't say Hawkeye is one of my favorite characters. Like I don't like I'm not going to buy a book just because Hawkeye's in it. But he is one of those stalwarts of the Avengers that I'm just such a big fan of. And
he carried Avengers Spotlight. He carried Avengers West Coast.
Yeah, and he's been such a long time. Yeah. I'm a huge Avengers fan, so Hawkeye has been one of my characters that I've always really, really liked. And having absolutely no idea he was in this movie, the sequence in which Thor is attacking S.H.I.E.L.D. and they say, we need a sniper, and you see this hand go for a gun. And then it pans over, and he grabs the bow.
No, it just pans up.
Or it pans up. And
he grabs the crossbow.
He grabs the composite bow.
Composite bow, yeah.
And I must have either been, 1, the only person in the audience that knew who this was, or 2, the only person in the audience that it hadn't been spoiled, because I went,
yeah, and I heard you 3 people away.
Oh, they probably heard me 5 rows away.
Out about it. It was awesome.
I had no idea that Hawkeye was going to be.
I think for me, the best part was when they said his name.
Yeah,
they didn't call him. They were Burton. Barton. They were like Barton. I was like, that's when I geeked out because the name. I already knew when he grabbed the thing.
Yeah. So
I think though that actor, whoever played him.
Now I knew Hawkeye was already cast to be in the Avengers movie. Is that not the same actor?
It probably is.
Yeah, I'm assuming it is.
But that actor, dead ringer for the Ultimate Hawkeye.
Yeah, makes sense. Ultimate Hawkeye worked with S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, it's kind of the Ultimate version.
The Ultimate Universe, a lot of people, for you listeners out there, the Ultimate Universe is what Marvel's pulling a little bit look-wise, or heavily look-wise for...
A little story-wise.
Heavily on look-wise for what you're seeing in the films.
Yeah.
So
Thor was good.
But the letdown was he never fired a shot.
No.
Now he doesn't fire.
Well, that's the thing. He's like, I'm going to fire. I'm going to do it. And then he's like, if you don't stop me, I'm going to have to do this. So, yeah. Very cool. Very, very,
very, very good cameo.
Yeah.
Very good cameo.
Very cool cameo. I'm real happy to see that in there. That was unexpected. So.
Our last spoiler.
So, of course, there is the famous after the credits story, little bit, which you got your typical Sam Jackson cameo as Nick Fury, and Nick Fury has, which no one in the audience, again, except for myself and maybe two other people, knew what this thing was.
I know what it was.
You know what it was. Most people were
It took me a second to figure it out.
Well, at the end, Nick Fury has the Cosmic Cube. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Cosmic Cube, this is both a introduction to both the Captain America movie and, more likely, the Avengers movie. Because the person with Nick Fury, with a Cosmic Cube, as you see in the reflection, is Loki being controlled by Loki. So Loki's on Earth.
What's the doctor's name that's being controlled by Loki? Because you just said Loki controlled by Loki.
No, he's being controlled by...
The doctor in the film, Sieg?
The doctor is being
Dr.
controlled...
Dr. Sieg or something? He's being controlled by Loki.
Jane Foster's friend is being controlled by Loki, who, after being destroyed by Thor and Odin at the end of the movie...
Not destroyed, he falls.
Well, seemingly destroyed. Oh, seemingly destroyed. What a shock. He lands on Earth, and then he's now working his way towards the Cosmic Cube. The Cosmic Cube is this big, like, magic crystal cube thing in the Marvel Universe.
It's an oh, fuck, I can't talk. It's an alt... Shit!
An alt? What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say...
It alters reality.
It alters reality, but I'm trying to say the other word that starts with... It's...
I
don't even know.
You'll ask me.
It gives the person wielding the Cosmic Cube the power to manipulate reality. Much
like the Infinity Gauntlet. And
which isn't in the film.
Which is not in the film, but was rumored to be in there. So I wonder if the cube is kind of like what they were using instead of the gauntlet. I don't know.
Well, do you think they're going to have the cube featured in Captain America?
Yes. Well, okay, right. The reason this is a story for both is, one, for Avengers, we have Loki. Yeah. Loki's already been confirmed as the main antagonist in the Avengers movie. And two, the Cosmic Cube is the main weapon of the Red Skull
in Captain America.
So there you go.
Well, that's good.
Very cool to see the Cosmic Cube.
I think the difficult part about seeing that was I was scared to death that they were going to do the Pulp Fiction ending.
Because he opens the briefcase.
Because he opens the briefcase and you just see the light and the look, and I'm like, oh, hell no, you better show me what's in there.
Yeah, I wasn't 100%
And then when we looked in, there was all this weird orange shit around the cube, and I was like, I couldn't tell that it was a cube because it looked like this gray square, and then this
I was looking,
computer stuff, and then they tilted just enough that you could see that it was a cube.
Right, I was looking at the stuff around it, and I was like, what is that? Oh, the Cosmic Cube.
Yeah.
Nice! So, the rumors for the Avengers movie is the Kree-Skrull War, and Loki, and the Cube, and the Gauntlet, and the event.
Jesus, that's a lot of...
It's a lot of stuff. So, I mean, some of this could...
What the fuck? Are we going to see Thanos taking a dump at the end of that movie?
Maybe. I mean, this could be, some of this stuff could be not real. Some of it could be inaccurate. So we'll see when the movie comes out. But, a lot of people were expecting a much more direct Captain America shot, like the Shield, or like Frozen in Ice, or something really...
No, we already got Frozen in Ice from the deleted scene in Incredible Hulk.
That doesn't really count. The end of Captain America is going to be him waking up in New York, right? I mean, they've already filmed... There's a shot of Chris Evans and Nick Fury filming in modern-day New York.
Yeah.
So that's either the very start of Avengers or the very end of Cap. More the length of the end of Cap. But we'll get a little more direct... end for Avengers and Captain America. But no, this was cool. It's cool to see a big weapon like that too. That's something you don't see too often in the movies. Obviously, you saw the hammer, but that's a good guy weapon. The Cosmic Cube's a very rogue element. You don't know which way it's going to go depending on who wields it. So, and if that just means Red Skull's trying to go after the cube in the Cap movie, that's great.
Yeah.
So, I wonder.
Oh shit!
If we're going to get a Thor cameo in Cap.
We may get a Thor cameo in Cap.
Because Thor was actually working with Hitler. There are stories of Thor working with Hitler in, I want to say, the Invaders book.
Working for him?
Right. Working for the Axis.
Why?
Because that's his people. He came down and he's like, "Yeah, sure, you're my area. I'll help you out." But then, like, he turns on him, or then the invaders end up defeating Thor.
Oh, so it's basically like, look, what Loki does. Let me manipulate you a little, believe this, and you'll realize I'm full of shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unlikely we'll see Thor in the Cap movie, but
you know what? This is the one cameo that I think that they should do. This is the one cameo I think they should do in Cap. Is Logan.
Oh, they can't.
Why?
Because it's owned by Fox.
Oh, and Warner Brothers is doing...
No, it's Marvel Entertainment. Disney is doing Cap. Fox owns the rights to X-Men. Was it X-Men, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Ghost
Well, no, because this movie was done by Paramount.
What's that?
This movie was done by Paramount.
I think it's just put out by Paramount. It's done by Marvel Entertainment.
Oh, okay.
All the Punisher... The new Punisher movie, both Iron Man movie, Hulk, and this were all Marvel Entertainment.
Oh, okay.
Now Disney. So
okay,
Paramount may have released it.
But that's the thing is if they put that would be awesome if they could do a Logan
It'd be
cameo.
cool, but I mean they can't. I mean, we may see Black Widow, like the original Black Widow, because she was back then.
Yeah.
I mean, we could see Thor, we could see Namor. I mean, we definitely see Bucky. We definitely see Dum Dum Dugan. We definitely see the Howling Commando. So, I mean, I would like to see Nick Fury, but I don't know how they're going to work that out. Yeah. Maybe Nick Fury's father or grandfather.
Well, we see Tony Stark's father.
Again, it has to be his grandfather. They're going to say father, but I'm going to say grandfather because it's too old. Yeah,
too old for the part. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, Cosmic Cube, cool stuff. Hawkeye, cool stuff. Thor, cool stuff. I'm psyched for Cap now.
I'm psyched for Cap. I'm exceedingly psyched for Green Lantern. And I'm actually getting more and more psyched for X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men looks good.
With what Marvel's been doing since they've been doing okay.
Well, it's not Marvel.
It's Fox?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, let me rephrase.
Or Sony. I don't remember. Fox and Sony own Spider-Man and Daredevil. I don't remember which one's which, but I think it's Fox owns X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not Marvel. I mean, Marvel's involved, obviously.
Well, let's see if they learn from the failure of the last film.
Yeah, I'm like 50-50 on X-Men. I mean, I'll definitely go see it, but I'm kind of like, we'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll go see it, but...
All right.
So, spoilers are done.
Random comic pick time.
Random comic time.
What do you got, Brock?
What do I got? People complain that we do too much DC and our Marvel talk is garbage and we don't talk enough independent. I'm like...
we talk a fair amount of independent.
We talk everything, but we only have 7 episodes, people. I know. Let us get going.
This gives us a little bit of a Marvel push here. This has been a mostly Marvel episode.
Mostly Marvel episode, so let's
pick a Marvel
book. Marvel book.
What's a Marvel book you've been looking
I'm gonna pick Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, nice. New, old, both?
The new stuff.
Tell me about it, Brock.
I'm gonna pick it comes out of the Annihilation Conquest run from Abbott Lanning, who basically have been doing an amazing job on the space stuff. So
I think we've mentioned it once or twice before that both of us were real big fans of the space books.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I would equate it almost to Justice League International with it. Like it's a humorous.
It's a very goofy cast.
But it's a really good.
Well, Abbott and Lanning do fantastic humor too.
Yeah,
they've got some real witty stuff in their books, and they're very funny.
Yeah, but I would recommend picking up those trades, Guardians of the Galaxy, the new stuff. I haven't gotten a chance to read the old stuff, so we'll see. But yeah,
you know why I like the old run on Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Why?
Because Vance Astro.
Oh, that's right.
Also known as Vance Astrovic, Justice from the New Warriors. Good stuff.
Yeah.
My New Warriors love. Actually, I own all the issues of Thing and the Marvel 2-in-1 with the Thing, where they introduced Guardians of the Galaxy. And Vance Astrovic is with the Thing in a number of issues, and there's the issues where he meets Vance Astro. And so that's cool stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
My pick of the week, I just looked up and I saw this and I was like, ooh, I've never talked about this book, but we're talking Avengers earlier. have to recommend Avengers Forever, one of my favorite Avengers books, written by Kurt Busiek, art by Carlos Pacheco. This is I'm going to say this is sort of the prelude to JLA versus Avengers. This is a book of...
Prelude to JLA versus Avengers?
Just follow along with me. This is a time-traveling, alternate reality traveling span of every Avengers story ever. It goes into the past, into the future. It's Kurt Busiek loves his continuity, and I just want to read the back here. I kind of give you a really good explanation. This is here. Wait,
you're stealing somebody's explanation?
Yeah.
You mean I could have gone over to Guardians of the Galaxy and picked it up and read it?
Yeah, so this seemingly unconquerable enemy is the future. 7 time-lost Avengers plucked from the past, the present, and the future must protect their lifelong ally, their longtime ally, Rick Jones, from death at the hands of Immortus, the Master of Time. I love time travel. I love alternate reality travel. You have alternate reality travel and time travel by Kurt Busiek, one of the masters of continuity. This book is awesome. What's even better, now I'm looking at the hardcover version right now. I'm not 100% sure if it's in there, but it has to be. In the back of all the issues, there was actually like a timeline of pages 1 and 2 take place during Avengers number 217. Pages 9 through 14 take place during issues 104 and 105.
Dude, calm down.
Every issue had this huge like timeline in the back.
I really have cool. A handful of those issues, and I never got to read it because I don't have the full thing. Is that available in soft?
I'm not sure. There's just this like oversized hardcover. I don't know if the softcover is still available. But very, very, very cool book.
Yeah, I've really wanted to read it because I remember reading it. I've read a couple issues of it, and I enjoyed it, but I never got to finish it because I don't have all the issues.
Yeah, I mean, unless I'm mistaken, it did come out when Kurt Busiek was writing the main Avengers title, too, so he used a lot of the current cast that he was already using, and then mixed a lot of just cool stuff from other time periods into the book. I mean, they travel in the far future. They go back to the Wild West.
Yeah.
They hit a bunch of big moments in Marvel history as you're traveling around. Real fun title. Really, really fun. One of the highlights of Kurt Busiek's run on Avengers. Outside of the Ultron arc, I will have to mention that in a future recommendation.
Yeah.
So, those are our picks. That's our Thor talk.
Hopefully, it was enough for you people.
Those are the letters. Free Comic Day is over. I'm going to go to bed.
Next time you hear me, I will be a father.
More than likely.
So.
Hopefully. Yeah, chance we may not have an episode next week. Or in the next week or two, things will be kind of up in the air. Brock's girlfriend is due any day now.
She's due any day now. She could pop. We are being induced, though, on the 13th.
So, if we go a week or two with no new episode, that's why. I may, if Brock's not here next week, I may see about getting someone coming in. We've been trying to line up a few people to come down and talk, maybe trying to line up some guests for a call-in thing. So I may try to fool around with the format next week. I may just do it solo, a short episode. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, if we're gone for a week or two, check our Twitter.
I don't think we'll be gone for 2 weeks. We should be okay.
Just saying, you never know. So I'm on Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan. You can find us under the Geek Box on Facebook. We're on there.
conspiratorbrock.blogspot.com.
Yeah, we'll update those. Let you guys know the schedule for the next couple of weeks.
The Green Lantern reading list is updated, so check that out. I will be getting a flash list up there as soon as I can, and also I think what was the other one I was going to do?
JLA.
I think I was going to do a JLA, but are they re-releasing those softs?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll wait then.
If Brock is here next week, we'll talk some Flashpoint.
Yes.
If Brock is not here next week, and he's here the week after, we'll still probably talk some Flashpoint. So, we'll have some Flashpoint talk coming up in the next few episodes. I hope you guys can go out and see Thor. Hit us up on Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan. Hit us up on Facebook, The Geek Box. Hit up Brock's conspiratorbrock.blogspot.com. Send us emails, thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net. You can go visit our forums at forums.geekbox.net. Come talk some comics. If you guys took any pictures of Free Comic Day, if you have any stories, I started a thread up earlier today. Go say hey. Go post what you guys picked up, if anything was cool. If you picked up anything at Free Comic Day and you really liked it, tell us. Shoot us an email. Hit us up on Twitter. Tell us. Let us know. We'll talk about it. There's some cool stuff. The pickings were a little slim this year.
I was disappointed with the DC. The Green Lantern reprint.
It was a reprint and a prelude. I'm fine with that.
The prelude was... I didn't like the prelude as much as I liked the other preludes, like the War of the Superman and DC Universe Zero.
Yeah, well, those were whole issues. This was just a quick prelude. Of but I know there's still some good stuff this year. So if you liked it, give us a shout. Let us know. We'll talk about that. Brock, anything? Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay, we're gonna go out. This is probably gonna be the first. We're gonna try a few kind of unedited episodes. If you find our long, like if you find that super annoying and we didn't edit any of it out and you want us to edit it, let us know. As I just sniffle, right, I would edit that out normally, but I won't. The program crashed about 5 or 6 times as I was trying to edit it last week. I lost a bunch of saves. It took the better part of a day to edit what was basically an hour-long podcast.
Yeah.
So if I can avoid that and you guys don't mind a few ums and ahs, I mean, I edited out like 2 minutes of silence from the whole episode. That doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it's a lot when you're going through it. But if this episode sounds okay this way, let us know. We're going to go raw like the Geek Box. I totally understand why Ryan does it this way now. So I think we're going to be done, and we will talk to you next week. Brock, if you guys have any well wishes for him and his girlfriend, I'm sure he'd appreciate that as well.
Yeah, there's a forum post, Rhodey Brock. There's a couple posts on the forums.
Cool.
About my pending fatherhood.
I'm going to say we'll see you next week. We may not be the week after.
No,
but,
you know what? This is perfect. We'll see you next time.
Next time. Okay. Brock, you want to hiss out of here? Say it once more.
See you next time.